Liquor Talk, brand new episode starts right now. Welcome everybody to another edition of Liquor Talk. Welcome to the second episode of season 6 of Liquor Talk. I'm your man Victor, podcasting here in Florida. We done survived the storms. And tonight, my guest coming from you from VA by way of California. She is the host of the Crushgasm podcast. She make you talk about your crush if you had one. She's going to put you on the spot about your crush. Going to figure out everything to know about your crush. She's the host of the Crushgasm podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, show some love for Kendra. Pour it up for Kendra, y'all. How you doing tonight, Kendra?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm
All
so
right,
excited.
so let's get right into it. Talk to people about your podcast, the Crushgasm podcast.
Oh, well, Crushgasm is a podcast, like you said. My guests come through and we talk about a crush they've had in their life, whether it be a good or bad experience. A crush is a crush. We range from fictional, like I've had people have crush on like Beast from Beauty and the Beast, or real life crushes. So, as long as it's someone who stole your heart, we'll talk about it.
Wait, someone got their heart stolen by a fictional character?
Well, I mean, you can fall for a fictional character for sure. I've had plenty of them. I also, like, on top of the podcast, I blog as well about crushes every week, too, to coincide with each episode. And every week I will, if my guest picks, like, Disney, like a Disney crush, they do their episode, I will write a blog about my Disney crush. And since I was little, one of my first crushes was Robin Hood the Fox. So he definitely stole my heart, and I was so jealous of Maid Marian. I hated her. I was like, that biatch.
Yes, that biatch. The only Disney crush I could think of I maybe would have had was the older sister of Lilo and Stitch, because she was looking thick.
She's probably like the thickest of the Disney women too. Now I'm thinking about it, but yeah, like Aladdin is a big one. Prince Eric from Little Mermaid. I mean, Jasmine. We also have this one topic on Crushgasm called Sexual Awakening Crush. It's like the crush that made you feel those special feelings for the first time. And I see these lists all the time, and Princess Jasmine in the red outfit towards the end, a lot of people, like 30-something millennials, will say that was their sexual awakening crush. It's wild.
Damn, I thought it would have been Beyonce or Maya or one of the models in the King magazine, not a Disney crush.
Well, if you think about it, the first thing we see in life are animated characters. So I think a lot of our initial crushes for a lot of kids, or a lot of people, is like a cartoon character that I think then spawns what you like later. Like I had a guest call by the name of Brittany High. Her first crush was Michelangelo, the Ninja Turtle. And then that spawned her liking guys who just partied and like pizza until she got a little older in her 20s and realized that's probably not the type of guy that you want to settle down with.
So what inspired you to start this podcast?
Well, I had been a writer for over 10 years, like a blogger, freelance writer, and I did a lot of interviews. Like I would interview bands a lot, or just creative people. And during the pandemic, of course, I was bored. My husband started one, and I was like, well, he does it. I mean, how hard can it be, So I put together my love of just asking people questions, and my favorite thing, which is sleepover talk, like talking about who you like, and ta-da! Crushgasm was born. And I also thought there was a lack of like women podcasters. I saw a lot of white male, and I was like, where are the black women at? So I wanted to get out there, and I also wanted to do it because I noticed guests were also staying very male, very white, and I wanted my show to be a place where everybody was invited and included, because a crush is just such a universal thing. So I wanted to open it up to men, women, non-binary, every race, every like sexuality, everything. So I think I've accomplished that in over 100 episodes too. I'm really proud of my guest list range.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I looked it over. Yeah, I'm definitely proud. You definitely did a good job with that. You know what I'm saying? You definitely. I never thought people would admit that they had a crush on cartoon characters. That one, you got me right there.
Really, when I first started, I got a lot of anime characters, which is like, we talked when you came on my show about like being like kind of, what are they talking about? That's the topic of crushes where I do have to do a lot more research, is anime. I've had a few guests bring an anime crush to the table, and I'm like, who is that?
Yeah, don't feel bad. I gotta do a little research on anime too. I watch it every now and then, but it's like I'm not deep into. I can't tell you every
Yeah.
little thing about it.
Sailor Moon is like where I draw like a line for me. I know like my brother loves it, and I'm like, I don't. It's not my cup of tea for animation.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. So, what have you learned about people and crushes through from your time in podcasting with the 100 episodes?
I've learned that everyone has one, of course. I've also learned that they actually are more deep than you think. Like when you like a certain character, what does that represent in you? Like I had a recent guest, Barry Carter. He really liked Marky Post's character from Night Court, who is a public defender, and I think that spawns from him growing up and loving the thing between right and wrong. He loves superheroes. So I think that kind of morphs too. So I think like crushes aren't just physical, it's also like you have to go a deeper layer, and I like unraveling. People are all some I have a lot of guests say I didn't know this was going to be a therapy session, or they're just like discovering things about themselves, because on the surface you think, oh yeah, she just likes a Backstreet Boy, but what does that really mean? And I like to unravel that.
That's real. So now going to your personal life, So was your husband somewhat of your crush, or was this someone that you just felt like you needed?
Well, I would say when I was online dating, I don't think I really had any crushes. It was more like when I dated him, I went out with him and it was like the middle of the week. And I instantly like we spent the weekend together, and I just knew he wasn't like a long-term crush. Like we dated, we went on a couple dates, and I knew I wanted to be with him because he made me feel like me. It was the first person I ever went out with that I was like, I could totally just be my dorky, weird self, and he actually likes it. So we'll keep this guy around.
And that's real. That's real. You know what I'm saying? So now talk about your crush. Like, has anybody ever questioned you? Have you ever done an episode where you just diving into your crushes?
Um, no, I rarely do solo episodes. Sometimes if like I have like a lull in guests, or it's like a special occasion. Like every year when my grandma was alive, People Magazine releases that Sexiest Man issue. Well, on Thanksgiving, it's usually around November that they do it. I would take it home for Thanksgiving, and I would make my grandma play Who Would You Rather Bang out of all the guys. And she
Mhm.
loved that game. She has since passed. But so when I started the show, she had actually passed away, I think, earlier that year. And I was like, well, as an homage to my grandma, I'm going to keep doing these solo episodes. So I will talk occasionally about my own crushes on the show, or if it comes up just casually. But I usually keep that for crushgasmpodcast.com with the blogs.
Mm, that's real. That's real. That's real. So there was no crush you had that just inspired you to say, "I'm feeling this way about this person." So let me talk to other people about it.
We there's definitely those foundational crushes, I call them. I would say like Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys, and as I said, Robin Hood the fox from Disney is probably my like we call it a Brittany High, the Michelangelo crush. She called it Mount Crushmore. So if I had a Mount Crushmore, those would probably be the four that are like why I love talking about crushes, or when I was little, like I talked about them the most.
So from your time, have any of your previous guests have a happy ending with their crushes?
Yeah, we had one. What was her name? It was like one of the first episodes, but she actually married her crush. They had a lot of like back and forth. She ended up moving to like New Jersey. I think he was still in Florida. He was coming up, helping her with her music. And then but he was with someone at the time. Then they finally broke up, and she was like, are we going to make this work? Yep, they've been married now for quite some time. So we did have a happy ending crush.
Wow.
So we've had one. Mahogany Jones was her name. She is a hip hop artist.
Wow, just one happy ending crush?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I give everybody a list of like, do you have one of these? And one person over 100 episodes has picked a crush that's worked out.
Wow, what does that tell you about crushes? Does it say that you shouldn't just pursue your crush? Is that what you're getting from it, or what do you get from it?
I think that that most of it is like our crushes are based in like a fantasy. I think that's the most fun part of it. It's like a celebrity crush is so common because that's just what we grow up with. You see someone on TV, you like them, and of course it's not going to work out between you and Ryan Reynolds or you and, Betty White. The crush, the fantasy lives on, So I think that's why.
Yeah, and I think I think that's why I got away from celebrity crushes because it's like I said to myself, what would they be like in real life? Sam.
Yeah, you
I
just never
wonder.
know. I mean, I talk about Nick Carter, and he was definitely a foundational crush from Backstreet Boys, but he had a reality show, not the one with his family, but the one with his wife. And I watched that, and I was like, yeah, I don't like it would have like we would have never worked out anyway. But in my head, I was like, it definitely would have worked out because he's like a grown child, and I couldn't deal with that. He was very whiny. I felt really bad for his wife. I was like, thank God. I was like, thank God, 12-year-old me didn't get to marry him.
Yeah, because over the years I'm like I look at some of these celebrities, I'm like the only one that seems like they'll be chill and cool to hang out with, probably like someone like the Snoop Dogg or maybe Issa Rae, somebody like that might be cool to hang out with, and
Hmm.
but to marry, I don't even know because they probably got the stress of being a celebrity all on their
Hmm.
shoulders and stuff. So you and I probably wouldn't understand what the hell they go through.
Yeah, I think for a celebrity, well, there's been a few occasions where a celebrity has married a normal, after they've already risen. But I think if you're not with them at the beginning of their career, it might be a little hard to like understand their life. I think Zac Efron dated a waitress. I believe Matt Damon's wife was a waitress, and Matthew McConaughey might be making that up. But one of those two
Mhm.
Matts dated a what their waitress, I believe.
That's real. That's real. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Liquor Talk. The more you drink, the better we sound. I sound a whole lot better when you have some liquor, ladies and gentlemen. You should know that by now. All right, we will talk to Kendra from the Crushgasm podcast. Kendra, what's your favorite kind of liquor?
I love Cayman Jacks. It is a pre-made margarita in a little glass bottle. Comes in a 6-pack. So delicious. Or anything that's like blueberry, I've discovered is very well. I order if it's blue. When I go out, I'm like, make me something that's blue because I think blue you can't go wrong.
Okay, make you something blue. Okay.
Like an
Okay.
the Adios motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Because living also being from LA and living there so long, it is expensive to go out there. So I would be like, what is that? That's strong, and I only need one. Okay, fifteen
Yes.
dollars for the night.
I'm glad you got out of LA because even when I visited like 6 years ago, I'm like, God damn, shit is expensive. We in traffic every day. Like, my goodness.
Yes, it is. I think a beautiful place, but it's also gone downhill in recent years. I would not. I'm gonna visit. We were thinking about moving back this fall, and I was like, if this summer I went for a trip after 2 years, I was like, if this trip goes well, that's where we're moving back to. I was there less than 24 hours. I texted my husband. I was like, yeah, we're not moving back here. I was like crying. I was so upset. I hated my trip this summer, but it was nice to see
Damn,
family, I guess.
you hated your trip back to Cali. Wow.
Yeah. Well, my family's not from like the nice part of Cali. My family is like you've heard of Palm Springs. Well, we're the town like an hour, half hour, 45 minutes before you hit Palm Springs. That's all trailers and meth addicts. So
Mm.
to go there is not the greatest.
I thought you were gonna say Compton or Watts.
No, no. I'm trailer trash. I'm mixed. I say I'm black, Spanish, and white trash. That's what I say.
Hey, hey, they made a beautiful product, so
Thank you.
somebody happy with you, so it can't be that bad.
I thank my dad for those genes. Thank you, Dad. The
Yeah, but
black one.
California is still a mess. Even though I see they're trying to be eco-friendly and stuff, but it's still expensive as hell out there. And I see a lot of people flocking California for
Hmm.
Arizona, and some of the asses wind up in Florida. I'm like, how the hell you wind up in Florida from California?
I don't. It's just getting too expensive out there. It's like for the what you're gonna pay there, you're gonna be in a shoebox, or you could move elsewhere and have a whole house to yourself. Like, what are you gonna choose? It's wild. So I probably will never, unless I won the lottery and could live by the beach, I probably would never go
Yeah, the only way I would
back.
even think about California is if somebody paid me to do a residency, like like
Hmm.
a Vegas residency. Somebody just paid me to work in California for maybe 2 months, and then I'm gone. Okay,
Yeah, I mean Vegas is okay. I went there on my trip this summer as well. Too hot though. Too hot.
really, Vegas is too hot.
Yeah, growing up, I thought because leaving California, you lose it. Like I used to wear a hoodie in like 90-degree weather, 100 degrees. I was like, this ain't nothing. I lost it moving to the East Coast. But yeah, right when I walked out that airport in Vegas, I was drenched. I was like waiting for my Uber, and I was like, I'm not wearing a different out because I went the week that Barbie came out, and I was like, I'm wearing this pink outfit to Barbie, so I had to just take it off and air it out in the hotel room for an hour, and then put it back on. I went to see Barbie.
Mm.
It's very hot.
Yeah. So you lived out in the West. So talk about the biggest adjustment you had to make when you moved to the East Coast.
I think it was just leaving everything I've ever known. I just never knew weather. I've had all my friends are there, my family's there. So to go from just always having people that you love and know that you could hang out with to like moving across the country to a place that our town is mostly like old people or college students. So to be my age and not have kids, it's like really hard to like make friends. So we're moving again this fall and I'm really excited and hopeful that this will be the place where we can make some actual friends in life and stuff as adults.
Was it a college town or how close to DC is it?
We're about 2 hours from DC, but yeah, it's college town, JMU, James Madison
Mhm.
University. So I think it brings about over 20,000 people with the students every semester, every like fall. Then in the summer, it's really nice. It's really quiet, no traffic.
Well, shout out to the Dukes then. One time for
Hmm.
them, one time for them. Your husband went there, or you went there?
No, his family just lived here, and this is where his parents were. So we're like, he hadn't seen him because of the pandemic, and they're getting older. So we're like, we'll come here and hang out with them for a while. And now we're moving on. 'Cause-
Bigger
bye.
and better, always, always bigger and better.
Yeah, going to Ohio
Oh
randomly.
wow, from Virginia, from California to Virginia to Ohio. Hmm.
Well, yeah, I think it's because I spent 16 years in LA and I was like, no, I can never leave here. I feet are planted here. But then I realized you got to get out and you got to see the world because it's just like you get to live so differently and so much. Like when we moved here, the best thing was it being so clean. After being in LA and like everything smelling like urine when you walked outside, because I was like, wow, there's no trash, there's no people I have to step over or crack needles. This is cool. It's
Wow,
green.
damn, y'all
Yeah,
must have been in the really rough parts of LA.
we weren't actually. We lived in like Long Beach in a really nice like little neighborhood, but it was like you go a block this way or that way, and it was like you might get shanked. Let me
Oh yeah,
try.
that sounds like Miami to me because
Okay.
Miami will have the beautiful, nice parts, but you keep going down that street, you're gonna end up in First 48 Miami. You gonna see the park, you're gonna see the football fields where all the youth are at and stuff. So you're gonna see that, you know what I'm saying? But that's in any city to be honest.
Yeah, you just gotta know where to go and where to be at. That's why we're moving to Ohio. We're gonna go there at the end of the month and kind of check out where we want to be. Hopefully, get a good location.
Yeah, I feel you on that move. I got a sibling right now that's recruiting. I'm like, is the state of Texas paying you, girl?
Oh.
Because every time I talk to this person, they trying to recruit me to Texas. Texas is this. Texas. I'm like, okay, I get it. Texas is wonderful. I get it.
Hmm.
But we working through some things right now. So
What part of Texas?
they talking about moving to Houston, but I think they're on the
Mm.
outskirts of Houston.
My dad's from Houston, so he's a big like go Houston. He hasn't even lived. He's like 80 something. He hasn't lived there in like 60 years, and he's still like reps Texas. Like,
Man, I
not
know
even.
people like that. I know I've worked with people like that that will go crazy for Texas, but they're in Florida. Or I know people that go crazy for New York, but they're in Florida. I'm like, sir, you sitting here talking about these New York teams, but you're in Florida.
Yeah, I have a big thing. Like one of my biggest like kind of pet peeves I call it is like school pride or like hometown. Like I don't understand it. So it's like having pride in where you're from is just I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. Like it's just a place. Unless you're
Yeah.
from somewhere really really cool, but it's I don't know. Like
I mean, I
but,
got pride from my college, because I graduated,
no,
you know what I'm
I
saying?
don't.
But
We
but
didn't we
you're
didn't have a football team. Oddly enough, isn't that weird for college? We didn't
wait,
have a
what
football team.
college did you go to?
I was at Cal State Northridge. We had a great basketball team, I guess, but and track, but we didn't have a football team.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of them California schools. They got the basketball team. You'll see them across the board. Cal State Fullerton or Cal Long Beach. I'm like this random ass California school.
There's like there's so many Cal States. They're easier to get to into.
Okay. Of
And when
course.
you're poor, when you're like a poor kid, you can apply to all of them for free, which I did. But you only get 4 free UC waivers. So I didn't want to waste any on the bigger schools. I only applied to the 4 that I could get into. And then I was like, UCs are double what Cal State costs. So I was like, no.
I definitely feel you on that. One of my love interests out in California. I actually graduated from Bethune Cookman, a rival of FAMU. But I'm like, how the hell a girl from LA graduates from Bethune? But I don't know. I meet people from California. I met people from California when I was at FAM as well. I'm like, wow, that had to be some kind of a drive.
My husband went to film school in Florida and he ended up in California. So yeah, it's a drive. It's a drive. And his roommate
I'm
ended
sitting
up
here saying, I rode from Orlando to Philadelphia. I said, never again. I said I would rather just fly and just buy me a new car when I get out there, because that drive is long.
Yeah, we drove cross country to move to Virginia, and my husband's one of those we gotta get there. So it was like, oh look at that, like really fast. So I didn't get to see much of the country, but because he was like, no, I'll do 12-hour drives. Like we're getting to Virginia, and so I would like to do it again and maybe see more of the country next time. I also
Yeah.
don't. I'm a passenger princess, so I don't even drive. So.
So you just the passenger princess, not even helping them with the drive.
Yeah, so that's why I don't mind long drives.
No wonder you don't mind it. He looked like he got to drive all 12 hours.
Yeah, we used to like go to like in California with my friends. We used to drive to Vegas a lot for concerts. And the last time it was like the Backstreet Boys had their residency there, and it was July. 3 car accidents. The trip got elongated so much. We were in a car that with very old car. The AC was not that great. We all looked at each other and we're like, we're flying from now on because it's like a 45-minute flight.
Yeah, of course, it's a 45-minute flight, and you got AC. So of
Yeah.
course you would definitely do the flight. I don't even blame you.
Mhm.
Now, getting back to crushes, like, what is some advice you would love to give people about approaching if they have a real life crush? Like, if they have a real life crush, what should they do? Meaning not a celebrity crush, but real life.
I think if you have a real life one, there's no harm in going after it. Life's too short. If they like you, and that maybe it'll work out. If they don't, especially if you're an adult, live, let learn, and move on from it. I think when you're younger, it might be harder because you're in school and you're going to see them every day. But if it's just like a person you see randomly, like on the bus, on your commute, go for it. What do you have to lose, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. What I'm saying, life is definitely too short, and some crushes you never know. You just go for it. You just never know what happens. Like, there's a crush that I didn't tell you about, the college crush that everybody told me not to go out with, but I learned the hard way that people tell you things for their own good. So
Hmm. Yeah, like also you just like you might think they don't like you, might not be their type, but you also don't know unless you try. You never know what somebody's type is or what they're into. So I say go for it.
yes. Now, on the flip side, what would you do if you found out someone you weren't married at the time? What would you do if you found out someone was crushing on you?
Well, it just depends on who it was. I mean, I'd probably like take a free meal. I tell my husband all the time. I used in LA. Like you said, it's expensive. I went on dates all the time just for a meal because I was on the struggle bus and I needed to eat. So I was like, let me get to know this guy over some enchiladas. Which I
Well,
tell him all the time. He's like $6 enchiladas. What does it? I'm like, Yep. Buy me the
But nowadays you can't do that with these guys because a lot of guys now they like split the check. They'll look at that waiter
Yeah.
so bold and say split the check.
That would have been rough for me back in the day. I would have been like, you take EBT? Oh no.
And in my head I'm like, why the hell didn't I think of this all these years?
Yeah, if someone had a crush on me, like I would be honored. I'd be like, oh, that's cool. Because when I growing up, nobody ever told me they had a crush on me in school or anything. So I think like I've never had someone come on the show and actually like I want to approach like the cool kids that I grew up with because like everyone had crushes on them to know what it's like to be on that side, to know what it's like to be that popular kid that everyone likes, you know? So maybe one day I'll approach one of my former classmates about that.
Yeah, I wonder what it's like to be the popular kid but then I now look back and I say, you know what? Years later, you see the popular kid, they got 2 or 3 kids
Yeah.
now, or they probably ain't even doing well for themselves. I'm like, you were so popular. You were the star player on the basketball team, and now I'm seeing you with 2 or 3 mini me's, and you're not like, what the hell went? What the hell happened?
I will say the men that I did go to school with, I don't know. So time was not kind to them. I'll just say that. But most of the girls that I went to school with, they either look better or the same. But a lot of the men, it's not going well. I don't know what's in the water.
Yeah, yeah. I think some of the men aren't really taking care of themselves, or you never know. Some aren't and some not.
I will say
But I,
maybe a little too much liquor for some of them because they got those beer bellies, and I'm like looking at pictures like that was the football player. That oh my god, he was like an all-star baseball player. That's insane. But you never know what someone's going through though. I'm excited. My 20th anniversary is coming up in 2025. We're trying to plan it now because we missed the 10th one. That wasn't on me though. I wasn't the class president, but so me and my best friend are trying to help our former class president plan it. I'm really excited to go back and see everybody and see
that's
how their
real.
crushes are doing. Actually, I know how all my crushes are doing. I'm friends with almost all of them on Facebook. Keep
Wow,
tabs.
you see, you better than me because the ones I had my eye on, I don't even have them on Facebook. Maybe I do. I don't know. It's like
You don't you don't check up on them?
no, I don't because it's like you get so locked into your life and you're like, you know what? I'm not about to stalk them. Sometimes I snoop around one of my ex's page, but you know what? I'm like even that I'm just over it. Like I'm like you're the only way it's gonna happen. You come back into my life is if the universe forces you back into my life somehow.
I will say though, like, but it helps though to look at your former crushes because sometimes you realize maybe it was for the best that they never liked you back because their lives are so different. Like my elementary school crush went into the army. I definitely didn't ever want to be an army wife. My middle school crush, he's not that. I just look back and I'm like, why did I even like him? Like he wasn't even that attractive. I think it was kind of like he was just there and cool. And he has like a wife and kids. I don't want that life. And my high school crush, he actually married the girl that he dated in high school.
Yeah.
She was like she looked like leather. She was too tan.
Yeah, I can't even find like a lot of girls that I went to see my senior year. I was low key had my eyes on, but a lot of them I remember the ones I even had my eye on. I remember seeing them at my. This is what I hated about working in the movies. You
Oh,
get to see all the damn couples. I'm like,
mm.
that's some shit. Any girl you think about talking to, you'll see her with the dude. I'm like, ain't this some shit? You know what I'm saying? I'm around here. I'm getting free movies and shit. I can't even take advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? But no, it's like so I haven't even looked at like none of my high school crushes and the crush I talked to you about on my podcast on your podcast. I didn't even know that me and that crush were at the same school at the same time until years later, until we met up and we started talking and stuff, and we were like, "Wow, that's how that happened." So I didn't even know.
Yeah, because you guys were like a year apart, and I think like when you're in school, it's really hard to like mess with like the people that aren't in your grade. I shall say, unless you have like an elective class with them, because you're kind of like I don't know, every grade's like its own little gang.
Yeah, every grade definitely. And then the school I went to, if you ever visit my hometown, St. Petersburg, Florida, the school is big as hell. It looks like a damn
Oh,
college campus. You know what I'm saying?
oh, you
It's
had one of
that
those
big. You
schools.
know what I'm saying? So it's like they could be on one side of the building and I'm
You
on the
know.
other side of the building, and the cafeteria is big as hell. So you have like 2 lunch periods. So it's
Mhm.
like
Oh wow.
you probably wouldn't even notice them unless you were in athletics or something like that. But my senior year, I just was working at the movies and getting my grades right. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow, my school is very like we have a big freshman class, we always say, and then by senior year it's going to be about 100, 150 because all the teen pregnancies and dropouts and whatnot. So we're a very tight knit group. I think that's also why I keep tabs on all my crushes, just because like it's small town energy. That's just what you do. We're a little community.
yeah, I kind of like I said, I kind of feel that, but then I'm just thinking about the bigger things. I'm thinking about my vision. I'm just thinking about other things to be worrying about what this crush had. I just want to be that one that they see me and they're like, damn, I shouldn't have slept on him.
That's like I think that's the goal of so many for crushes. You want that like revenge moment of like, should have had me.
Yeah, you should have bought the stock when it was low, because I bet it everybody can go back 20, 30 years. They'd be buying up Apple and Amazon stock like out of this
I know.
world.
Oh, I know. To have a time machine. That's what I. Everyone's like, "What would you do?" It's like, I might go back and. I always have this thing about time travel and crushes. Like, if you could go back in time, what celebrity would you try to hook up with? But maybe I would use it not to hook up with Steve Martin in the '70s, and I'd use it to buy Amazon stock.
Yeah, I would definitely buy up the Amazon stock and not look at Pam Grier or look at
Oh,
Maya.
Pam Grier, that's my husband's number one.
Damn, great minds think alike, huh?
Yeah, actually never. I'm not like a big movie person. I like the movies I like, and I'm not like I have to see every movie. And he introduced me to. He loves Tarantino, so Jackie Brown's now like in our house. It is godlike. It is top tier. We have posters. We pray to our Pam Grier, Jackie Brown.
Yeah, Pam Grier did look badass in that. But then some women in the '90s, they just look beautiful as well. I'm like, Nia Long looked beautiful. I'm like, God damn.
She's still we I'm part of the I Did Not Make These Rankings podcast network, and every Tuesday night we do like a draft. And this week I picked to draft AARP hotties, so it was celebrities over the age of 50 that are hot. And we Nia Long didn't get drafted, but we mentioned her after. And I think everybody that was black, I was like, they're over 50? That's insane. Almost all of them, except for Denzel, because I knew he was over 50, but still looks great.
Man, I think Denzel was my mama and my aunt's crush, because they kept talking about him whenever his movies. They said some Denzel. I'm like, mama and aunt must like them or something like that.
Oh yeah, moms have crushes too. I would love to have my mom on, but I don't think she would understand Zoom or have a microphone. But she would talk
Yeah.
about Sam Elliott, the guy with the mustache with the good voice. He's in the ranch.
Yeah, and what's crazy about my mom is my mom will see some beautiful women and like, what about her? I'm like, God damn it, mom, you out. I'm like, it's bad when you get to a certain age and your mother's out here scouting. And I ain't gonna lie, my sister do the same thing. She again, she be advocating for Texas, but it's like, my goodness, because she said the women. I done seen some beautiful women from Texas. I'm like, okay, I know Beyonce's from Texas. I know Megan Thee Stallion's from Texas. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
Well, maybe Texas it's got something there. Maybe go visit your
yeah,
sister, see what's going on.
yeah. I'm plotting to get out there. You know what I'm saying? It's just I got a lot of things I got going on. You know what I'm saying? Getting the podcast back up and running, and then I did podcast with some beautiful ladies out in Texas though, so it could happen. I'm not saying it could happen. So that's another question. So what state or do you notice that all the main crushes be from? What state is like the be pretty state?
God, that's a hard question because it's like a lot of them are fictional. So I would say the world of, I think TV, TV or movies. I don't have a state though. Yeah, I
The
get a lot of TV movie crushes. I would say Disney. I think Disney's going to be like the biggest for crushes. I think cartoons get a lot of people going. You said it's weird to you, but I don't know. I have so
shout
many
well shout out
animated
to
crushes.
Well, shout out to Disney. I hope this is how I know I need to get out of Florida. If our governor is pissing off Disney, I'm like, bro,
That's
you
not a
don't want to
company.
piss Disney off.
Mm-mm. That's like making the Beehive or whatever mad, like Beyonce fans. There are some entities you don't mess with.
Yes, and you definitely don't mess with the Beehive, even though I don't quite understand it. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm
like
like, and somebody a long time ago told me you had to pay to be in the Beehive.
no. I think it's a mental, it's a state of mind, it's a way of life. But I can't. She was just in L.A. and they always are like, "Ooh, what celebrities were at Beyonce?" And I'm like, do these people even know the words, or is this just a night out just to wear silver? Because I like Beyonce's talented and everything, and I watched that Baychella. Like I stayed up late to watch it because I was like, well, what's she gonna do? And I wanted to see if Destiny's Child popped out, but it was impressive. No, she's a showman, but I'm like, I don't really know her music. It's like I don't.
Yeah, at least you honest about it because I see so many people on social media. They look like they about to go to damn prom or they about to go out to some nice formal event to go see Beyonce. I'm like, is you going to shake Beyonce's hand?
Actually, I like it. I think after the pandemic and being shut in, this is definitely the summer of fandoms. You have the Renaissance tour, people going dressed, like you said, dressed to the nines for a Beyonce and the silver and the Taylor Swift tour. I've enjoyed seeing all their things. And even to Barbie, you said you had worked in a movie theater. It came out July 21st. People are still going to theaters in pink to see Barbie. And I think it's so cool.
Yeah,
I
but
did.
I can't lie to you. Back when I worked at the movies, the superhero movies would come out, and people would come up to the movies dressed in their superhero. I'd just be back there cracking up. I'm like, your damn
Did
superhero is not gonna show up.
Did remember when Black Panther came out and people were like in African regalia?
Oh man, listen, I was there. I was with the people in the African. I saw a handful of people with their African gear. I said, I love it, my brothers. I love it.
It was so cool to see. I lived in like Lawndale area at the time, and I was like, "This is amazing!" People, I love like my favorite thing in the world, other than crushes, is fandom. So I love like even if I don't understand it, I love to see you just go for it, like get crazy, have fun. If
Yeah,
that
yeah.
makes you happy. Mhm.
Yeah, it's like I love the fandom too, and it's like I love seeing some of my friends because they talked me into going to the midnight showing, and after I
Ooh.
worked at the movies for years, it took me years to go back. It's like because you kind of know everything that goes
Hmm.
on at the movie theater because you work there, and so it's like it's probably the second time since I graduated from high school that I went to movies because I I um
Mm.
I quit my job at the movies right before I went off to FAMU. So after
Mm.
that, I never really went to movies. I rarely eat popcorn because oh my goodness, people ruin popcorn. Yeah, it's like there'll be people that want you to burn your hand to get the hot popcorn, drown it in butter, and then ask for got the nerve to ask for a diet coke, a large diet coke.
Yeah, it was like PTSD of the theaters.
Yeah, basically PTSD of the theaters. Some of them
Hmm.
I would like to experience. I've seen some theaters they got a bed in them and stuff. I'm like, what?
Yeah, the AMC we lived by when we lived in California in Lawndale, right across the street at the mall. It was wonderful. We could just roll out of bed in our pajamas, go to a matinee, had the recliners, and that was just, oh my God. Then we moved to Virginia, no recliners. Like, it was like going from the penthouse to like a Motel 6. It was like, oh, this is
Yeah,
like peasantry. That was so sad.
I know that's how it feels, and then also I be feeling that way whenever I stay at a hotel. I'm like, one week we had a nice penthouse hotel, the next week we're like, what?
I know. Well, hotels, I'm a cheap traveler. I'm like, as long as we're not gonna get killed at the hotel, it's fine. My husband's like looking at the crime reports and like the area. Like we went to before in 2019, before everything went crazy, we went to New Orleans for the first time, and I was like, I got the Airbnb, it's fine, no problem. Day before we were supposed to leave, he checks the map. He's like, there was like murders everywhere. He's like, we're canceling that. We have to get a new one, like day before our flight. And it worked out. We got a good Airbnb.
Damn. See, I would. if it's me, I would probably try to get Airbnb in the city or get a hotel in the city because I know that's what I did for Philadelphia. Even though it was like $700 for 3 nights. So I was like, shit, it's like. But hey, it was for a conference, and I had to speak at that conference, so it was like it was worth it.
It was the hotel, the room at the hotel the conference was at.
No, that one was way more expensive. I think they wanted like $1,000 for the 3 nights.
Cool. Yeah, we went to 90s Con, and I was like, we stayed at the hotel that was attached to the convention hall, and it wasn't that bad. I think I booked it like pretty way in advance as soon as we got the tickets. But yeah, you're in Florida, you should go. 90s Con's gonna be down there this year.
I might have to swing through it just to see what it's like because I'm wondering now which is worse, the fandom, the 90s Con fandom, or people in their sports gear because people in their really
worse, like more intense, the sports people. Weird 90s. There was some like strange people at the 90s Con. It was interesting. I'll say that. I was like, I'm such a big 90s fan, so I fit in, but at the same time I was like, there's some strange people here.
Yes, man. Listen, I was born in the 90s, but I said I would have loved to live in the 90s because shit was so cheap back then.
It was. You were born in the 90s, huh? I was born in the 80s, so I got to be a child of the 90s, 90s kid.
Yeah, it's like things were just so cheap back then, and then some like, look, McDonald's money wasn't that much. Now McDonald's money is like an arm and a leg.
Yeah, my mom was like, I went and got Poppy, that's my nephew's nickname, a meal, and like whatever, it was like $18 for one person. Like we ate, like I had part chicken nugget because of how much McDonald's we ate in the 90s, so I can't imagine us doing that now. We could not afford that.
Man, we couldn't afford that. That's still crazy. So getting back to crushes, like what makes you just look forward to hearing from people and their crushes? Like, is this just a fantasy, or what made you just what drives you to talk to people about crushes?
It reminds me of being at a slumber party with my friends, and I think it's fun to talk about people you like or just these kind of emotional things that are tied up to a crush. And I'm always interested of why, like especially if it's like, well, it's like a Disney character or a TV character that I'm not too familiar with or I would have never thought to crush on. I'm like, why does this appeal to someone?
Yeah. Do people have logical answers, or have you heard an answer that you just like? I look at them like they're crazy.
Yeah, I think they're all logical. They're usually like, of course, there's a physical attraction, but for some of them, it's like the personality. Or like we're having a guess that their crush was Kermit the Frog from the Muppet Babies cartoon, and Kermit was like a leader of the pack, and it's more than just like he's a frog that's cool. It's like unravel why, and then we kind of got into maybe they're just attracted to green characters because they also like Michelangelo, and Shrek wasn't too bad looking to them, so we unraveled some things.
Damn, Shrek wasn't bad. Look bad.
Yeah, the Shrek fandom. If you want to talk crazy, go to a Shrek rave. They have them. They're wild.
Not Shrek. Damn, that movie
Shrek
came out
raves.
so many years ago. There are people with fandoms today.
Yeah, if you look on Instagram, check out like if you could like maybe hashtag Shrek rave. Me and my brother are obsessed with sending each other those clips because people will dress like the characters and like just start dance. It's crazy.
That is some very interesting things. Like, I did not think the Shrek movie that came out in the early 2000s had a fandom like that. I know Star Wars did, but I was not expecting Shrek.
I think everything has a fandom. It's just like what part of the internet you're gonna find it. Because there's this show on HBO that just ended. It's called like How To with John Wilson, and the show's crazy to explain. But eventually, he winds up at this like meeting of Avatar fans. That is one of the wildest things I've ever seen. It's just like it's kind of cult like with them. But yeah, I think it's just where you're gonna go and find your little niche.
So let me guess, the Avatar fans would just dress up in blue and stuff for the movie and stuff.
No, they just had like shirts and we're just talking about the lore of it and how much like what it means. And like when Matrix came out and people are like really into like what does it mean? So they just dig into it a little further than I would have ever. I've never even seen Avatar, so
Yeah, I haven't either. I can't just sit through a movie that's like 3 hours,
no,
and
no,
nah,
not
I
happening.
ain't trying to do that. I know I can watch a football game for 3 hours, but that's some action, you know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
I can't sit through no movie for 3 hours.
I did through Oppenheimer. That's not usually my cup of tea, but I actually really enjoyed it.
Mm.
Really enjoyed Oppenheimer.
Well, at least you enjoyed it, you know. I think what we need to find is we need to find a podcast fandom so that way we can make money off these people and we can
Yeah.
just, not have to work a 9 to 5 job. We can
Hmm.
just tap into the podcast fandom.
Yeah, I mean, I think certain people have their fandoms, but yeah, I don't know anyone who's just like, I love podcasts, just gotta
Yeah,
have them all, like Pokemon.
I haven't heard them either, but it's always shocking to me when someone does snoop across my podcast and they're like, "Oh my goodness, I enjoyed your podcast." I'm like, I know, I've been doing it for a minute. I shouldn't be
But
shocked, but it's always shocking to hear.
it's nice. It's nice to hear. Like, oh, thank you.
Yes, it's nice to hear. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Liquor Talk. I hope y'all been enjoying this conversation, and I hope y'all have your liquor poured up. Now, Kendra, I do want to get a woman's perspective on this last topic. Now, last week with the fellas on the season premiere, we talked about how September is Take a Man on a Date month. Now, from you being a lady, what do you think of that? Have you ever taken your husband out on a date for during this month or in general?
I've never heard of this September being this take a man on a date month, but I love it. I think that in our society, we put a lot of pressure on the men to do the asking and to do the initiating of any kind of love interaction. So I think it's good to flip the table. We always have those Sadie Hawkins dance things, plots in most TV shows that involve teenagers, but I think it should be a normal thing. Go and ask a guy out, take them out for once, wine and dine them, take the pressure off them because men, I think there's also a lot of pressure on men and their mental health. So maybe give them a little relief of stress and take the pressure off them. Make them feel
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, see, it's nice to hear a woman say that. You know what I'm saying? Because us men, we do got to do everything when it comes to date nights and stuff. It's refreshing to hear a woman say, "Hey, tell her fellow ladies, take the man out." You know?
Yeah, why does he have to do the asking and everything? But take charge. It's 21st century. If you see a guy you like, take him out. Do
Yes,
that
yes.
job.
You heard it from a lady right here, ladies. Don't be afraid to shoot your shot, and especially if it's somebody you have a crush on, because hey, we need more happy stories on Kendra's podcast.
I
You know what
know.
I'm saying?
Oh, we've only had one workout. Come on.
Damn, I really find that hard to believe. Only one worked out of all them episodes. I'm like,
We won.
damn. And I know my story didn't really help anything. You know what I'm saying? But maybe someday we do a part two, and I tell you how the reverse is how she hit a reverse card on me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Maybe.
Uno.
Yeah, reverse card like
Mhm.
Uno, maybe. Hey, but you gotta remain optimistic. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Because if you be miserable about it, you will be depressed. So because the after effect of getting rejected by a crush is it stings though. You know.
It does. It does. I could definitely. It does. I've asked one person out in my adult life, or before I like started really dating. I had worked with him, and it was after the job had ended, and I had tickets to this like Jimmy Kimmel taping, and I was like, oh, maybe he'll go with me. So, not a date, just like ask him if he wants to go see some music. No, it was a big no. And I was like, ugh. It took
Damn.
everything in me to hit send on that Facebook message. It was like the most stressful moment of my life up until that point.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess now you do know how it feels when you have to deal with a crush, because those are some stressful, very stressful
Mhm.
moments.
It is, especially as an adult, because you're just like, ah.
Yeah. I guess you never really grow out of the crush phase, you know what I'm saying?
No, no. Unless you're like, I think maybe old people, but even then, well, my dad, he's a ladies guy. He's a ladies man. So he's he's in his 80s, and he told me he can get any woman he wants in his 80s. Confidence.
No, Papa probably got pockets. That he probably got money in them pockets. That's probably what it is.
He don't. He's just like he's like kind of like Shaft. He's smooth. He is a smooth operator, even in his 80s.
That's probably how you got your mom, right?
He had a Corvette and gave her roses. That's how he got her. But he was married at the time.
Oh no!
When I say he's a ladies' man, I mean it. I'm one of 15 of his children.
Damn, and my shit, and I'm looking at my dad crazy for having 4 of us, but see, he had 4 of us, but we don't know how many he could have had because he did tell some stories about how he beat up women that said they were pregnant to make sure they don't have a baby. I'm like, Dad, you're a little violent just to make sure this woman didn't have a baby. You know what I'm saying?
Whoa, Dad. 15 15's the number we say, but he only talks to like a few, so I only accept some.
Yeah, that's how I am with the sister I'm close to that moved out the hauled ass to Texas. That's probably the only one I'm really close to. The other two I deal with. Well, I really don't deal with them that much because their mom and my mom had beef. It trickled down to us, so it is what it is.
Oh, it's one of those. Yeah, like I know of them. I've only met like one of them. I really only claim my brothers that my mom gave me. I have a half brother and then one full brother, so they're my brothers. And then there's other people that I have biological connections with. I call them.
Yeah. Have you ever had any of your family members on to talk about their crushes?
No, my family's not like an internet family. They're not savvy, and they also just don't have like I would maybe have my brother. My brother's an artist, so he could come on and talk about his art. But other than that, no, they're not an internet people. I try to keep them off the internet.
Yeah, I tried that once, but hey, family they knows this, so they're gonna find out, and luckily they haven't really been giving me too much crap about Liquor Talk, So, but I think family they find a way to find out,
Yeah, since they don't really know the internet, they actually, I freelance, right? They don't know what I do for a living. Like for a long time, they were like, "You do something on the computer." As long as I wasn't asking them for money, they didn't really ask a lot of questions.
As long as you weren't asking them for money, they weren't asking questions.
Yeah, they were like, "She must be doing fine. She's fine. She's not asking for us to cover her rent anymore, so I guess she's fine."
Yeah, that's a parent's dream. But then some parents turn around and they need your help.
Yeah, we're getting to that point. I think, but it's good to like be able to say, "Hey, now it's your turn." I don't want you.
I got you. No problems. I got you.
Mm-hmm. Like if you need something, I'll be there for you. But if you're getting to that age where you're getting too old, let's talk about if you really want to live with me.
Exactly.
Do you kind of have that where you're like your parents like, "Oh, I don't want to live with that one. Have they chosen?" My mom's chosen.
Yeah, I think my mom. She knows it's just me, but my dad, on the other hand, is a lot of us. So I don't know who he's gonna choose. So
rolls the dice.
It's either you head out to Texas or deal with the ones right there in St. Pete.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Well, whatever happens. I would take care of my mom. My dad, I've offered, but we'll see.
My dad, we'll see. You know what I'm saying? My mom, she know I got her. Once I get to the point where I have it, she know I got her. But what is any final advice that you have to people that have a crush?
Go for it. Go for it. Slide into the DM, get into their face. Just go for it. Again, you just never know how it's going to work out, and you might find your life partner, you might find a friend, or you might just have a fun story to tell in Crushgasm.
Yes, that's real. So what are you looking forward to for the rest of the season? I know you got the episode we did that's dropping soon.
Well, you are coming up. I actually interviewed Danny from, if you remember the movie Mean Girls, he played the character Damien. He's coming on. He's the one that talked about Kermit. What else? In October, it's going to be a fun month. The people from my podcast network, I did not make these rankings, are all going to come on, and each week we're going to explore a different area of the horror genre, horror movies, The Final Girls, Stephen King, and Black people in horror. So that's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun one. How We Always Die.
Listen, I need one where the Black people don't die first, where the Black people make it to the end of the movie.
Did you watch The Blackening?
I was looking for it on Netflix, but I don't know if it ever came out.
I don't know if it's drop. It'll probably drop in the next couple of weeks just to get that October rush. But it was predictable, but it was very funny. It was not scary. I wouldn't call it horror. I think Scary Movie might even have more horror elements than The Blackening, but it was very funny.
I looked at it and I'm like, I bet the black people gonna sit there and crack jokes instead of actually get scared.
Yeah, it was a really funny movie. It just wasn't scary, and you knew who the bad guy was right away. So was the writing great? Nah, it wasn't. It's not my top 10. I don't think for the year. I always make a top 10 list, and I don't think it's up there, but I would still check it out if you could stream.
Yeah, like I said, if you can stream it, I definitely will check it out. But lastly, what I like to ask everybody is, you do have a great podcast. I was honored to be on. In your own words, why do the people need to tap in with the Crushgasm podcast?
Check out Crushgasm, because if you don't necessarily know who the crush is or why, you can kind of relate to. Just go through the episodes. You might be like, oh, I also had a crush on Beast from Beauty and the Beast. Why did this person like them? Is it the same reason I like them? Or if you just like interesting conversations, you never know where a crush conversation is going to go. Sometimes we get therapeutic. Sometimes we just keep it light. So, just check it out. It's a fun time. And who hasn't had a crush?
Yes, you're right. Who hasn't had a crush? We've all had crushes. Some got the W's, some we took the L's, and we took them L's and we kept on pushing. But nevertheless, Kendra, I want to thank you for having me on your podcast, and I want to thank you for coming on Liquor Talk. And always, if you ever want to come back again, you just let me know, because remember, I might be in Florida, but I'm just a DM away. If you need another crush story, let me know. I'll give you another one,
Well,
so.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you to listeners for pouring up for this good long hour, pouring up, getting you nice and litty. Don't get a DUI out here on these streets, ladies and gentlemen. Remember this. Thank you for tuning in to Liquor Talk. Oh, Kendra, where can the people find you?
You can find everything at crushgasmpodcast.com. There's links everywhere. And anywhere, if you're listening to this, you'll probably find Crushgasm as well. So,
yes.
Spotify, Anchor, whatever they call it, Apple, all the good stuff.
Yes, please tap into this Young Ladies podcast. And always remember to pour up and tap in with the Liquor Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, the season 6, we just getting started. So pour it up. And until the next episode, deuces, ladies and gentlemen, deuces.